Continuing with our exploration into shielding and protection magic, I'm going to be reviewing Jason Miller's book today, Protection and Reversal Magick, a Witch's Defense Manual. Brilliant book, really brilliant book, and I definitely recommend that everybody reads this. Last week I spoke about the Frater UD book, The Magical Shield, and I did mention that although that sort of comes from the approach of a more practical, or has a more practical approach to it, this one is just full of magic. Now, what I did find very good about this book, apart from the fact that it is actually, the whole thing's dedicated to Hecate, so I definitely approve of that. What I did find really good about this was it starts off with daily practices. No, it starts off with recognizing attacks, but chapter 2 is about daily practices. And he splits the daily practices, I'm really tongue-tied today. He splits the daily practices into 3 categories. So there is meditation, banishing, and offerings. Okay, and I think the first 2, a lot of people will consider obvious, but the last one, offerings, is actually a very interesting inclusion and is actually very important. So why these 3 categories? All right. So firstly, meditation allows you to calm the mind. And if you calm the mind, and also meditation brings you into that observer state. So if you have a calm mind and you're in that observer, you become the observer, then if you get yourself into a situation, you have the chance to step back. And I keep saying this month, step back and take a breather. Because when we get ourselves into a situation, we often just fly in straight away. It's that we do have that fight and flight response, and it is the response which we are so used to nowadays because we live such stressful lives. So we're in that constant fight or flight response. And because of that, we have that instant reaction. But when you're in a situation, you don't want to have that instant reaction, which could actually be detrimental to you. What you want to do is step back, take a breath, have a look at the situation, and handle it the way it should be handled properly. Now, you may just have a split second to do this. So meditation actually helps you with this whole process. Okay. Banishing, we pick up muck every day. We just pick up negative energy and sludge, which attaches to us, and we need to do cleansings. And this is why cleansings become important. So one of the ways to do that is to do a banishing rite. Other ways are to take spiritual baths. You can do an energetic cleanse. Banishing rite is very much an energetic cleanse. We did speak about banishing rites in a Black Hat chat. I'll link it above. And that discussion was actually really important and interesting. So when you're doing banishing rituals, what you're doing is you're not just pushing away everything that you don't want. You're actually raising your vibration. So you're bringing yourself into a state which is a higher vibration, and therefore things which are of a lower vibration can't stay with you. They can't stay in your surroundings. They can't stick to you or attach to you. So by raising your vibration, you are performing a cleansing, because all of those lower vibration things just move on because they just can't be near you. So banishing rites, very good for protection magic. And then the last one was offerings. Now, when it comes to offerings, there are various different ways you can do offerings. So you may have your specific deities that you work with, who you get protection from. And there's many ways we can actually look at this. This could actually be a whole discussion on its own, because the deities which you are particularly working with, but more in line with your matron and patron, or the deity which has claimed you. These deities, they bring you protection usually in the form of familiars. If you have especially dedicated yourself to a particular deity and you have made a pact or something like that, then you'll probably find that you have a familiar which is given to you by this particular deity, and that familiar will protect you. And so you make offerings to these deities, to these spirits. But not just that, and this is why I like this chapter so much, was because Miller also mentions land spirits and house spirits and all the spirits that we actually find around us in our environment. Because what often happens is we humans, being as ignorant as we often are, we just go trampling around the neighborhood and nature, and we move into houses and we don't even consider that there may be a spirit in there already. So we just kind of invade, and we trample through forests, and we just go here and we go there, and we just invade. And what often happens is there's a spirit in this place. We come in, we just trample on through and put down our bags and say, claim this space for ourselves. But it's not, it's their space. It was their space to begin with. But we completely ignore that. So quite often what happens is that this spirit is pissed off, and rightly so. So you start getting attacked. And then, especially if it's somebody moving into a new house where a spirit already exists, and you just move in all your stuff and you just claim this place for your own, and the spirit kind of sits there and goes, no, this is my house. You're visiting. You're the visitor. You can just piss off. And it will start attacking and throwing things around and going crazy. And then we call in somebody to come and exorcise the house. It's just rude. It's just really rude. So this is another area where we can do offerings, is you do offerings to these particular spirits to appease them, to say sorry. Sorry for all the human ignorance you have had to endure through your many, many years. I mean, some of these spirits have probably been around for centuries. And they've just been pushed aside, ignored, and attacked by human after human after human. And we come along and do the same thing. And we wonder why the spirit's pissed off with us. So you should do offerings to these particular spirits. And just, as I say, just to say sorry for all the shit we've put you through. I would like to live in the same space as you. Is that okay? All right. Be polite. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, just to appease them, just to say sorry, just to say thank you for allowing you to live in the same space as them. And then create a relationship, and create a good relationship, especially if it's your house, if it's your home. You want to create these good relationships with these spirits, because they will protect the home. That's their space. So if you create a good relationship with these spirits, they're not just going to protect the home, they're going to protect the family in the home, because they love them, they come to love them, and you come to love the spirits. So excellent way to, it should be a daily practice for everybody. Anyway, so after the daily practices, those are the three. And if you do these three every single day, you should be fine. However, even if you are doing all these practices, you are raising your vibration, so there's no negative energy or sludge that keeps attaching to you, and you clean it off daily. It's like taking a shower every day. and you make offerings to the spirits to ask them to protect you and your family and your home and everything else. Even if you've done that, sometimes things get through. You may have a magical attack or a psychic attack from a different witch or a person, just somebody who, even just the evil eye. It doesn't need to be a witch. It can be a group of people who are just jealous of you. So all of these things do happen, and sometimes things do get through the defenses. What you can do is add extra protection on top of it. And these things don't need to be done daily. They can be implemented, and then all you do is once a week or once a month. You might decide to do it like on the new moon or the full moon or something. But every now and again, you then just go check these wards and defenses, and you just strengthen them. So those are done intermittently. Even then, things can still get through those protections and wards. So you have to learn how to deal with them and how to handle them. Taking spiritual baths just to rid yourself of excess negative energies. Putting up and strengthening your wards and things like that. So this book actually goes through all of this. There's discussions and examples from a lot of different traditions. He mostly focuses a lot on hoodoo, actually. But it has personal protection for the home. Then it goes into a chapter on exorcism, which is exorcising a person or a home. It's a bit more advanced, but he goes into discussing it generally, just so you become aware of the situations and the practices. Goes into spirit guides and servitors. So I spoke about that just now. Was if you are particularly dedicated to a particular deity, you'll be given familiars and guardian spirits and things like that. If you go into shamanism, not really part of this book, but if you go into shamanism, there's a lot of emphasis on the power animal. So if you do a journey to go and meet the power animal, and we can liken this to the fetch from witchcraft and heathen traditions. This is your animal self. It's your animal nature, and the fetch, or in some cases it's called a familiar, or your power animal, is a thing that when you travel to the other worlds, you ride it. You sometimes shapeshift into it, but this is your guardian. So as you're moving between the worlds, your power animal, your fetch, your familiar, will act as your guardian and your protector. So good to work with spirit guardians of all natures. It then goes into reversals and counter magic, which is quite important. There is something he mentions in here. Oh yes, he actually mentions, and it's a very important point. Before moving on from reversals, I would like to say that while it may be the case that justice is best served by reversing harm back upon the sender, sometimes this will only cause the sender to resort to more volatile measures against you, followed by you resorting to stronger measures to repel them. This is, of course, how wars begin, and like mundane wars, the gain is often not worth the cost. Becoming obsessed with reversing curses often leads to sending them yourself and can lead to an obsessive life. So, very important point. I actually mentioned this on Tuesday. Energy flows where attention goes. If your attention is constantly on cursing and counter cursing and everything else, that's really what your life's going to become. So, you've got to stand up for yourself. You've got to defend yourself, and in some cases you have to do counter magic and reversal magic, but don't get obsessed with it. Don't let it become your main attention, your main focus, because that's what you will become. yeah, and then he goes into counter magic, and then he has a chapter on healing and recovery, which is quite important, because if you have been under a psychic attack, and you have worked hard to reverse this, to get rid of it, to block it, to banish it, then there's going to be a period where you need to actually heal and recover from that attack, from that psychic attack, just like you would with a physical attack. If somebody came along and they beat you up and you ended up in hospital with broken bones and bruises, you're going to need a period where you're going to need to recover and mend and heal. So it's the same with psychic attacks. You know, you can get beaten left, right, and centre psychically, and I don't think people put as much emphasis on it because it's not tangible, it's not physical. But psychic attacks can become quite physical, actually. So, yeah, a brilliant book. And as I say, it's full of magic. It's full of different workings and spells you can do. You know, from different perspectives and from different traditions. So, I really do recommend this. Okay, so that is Protection and Reversal Magick by Jason Miller. And I find the two books I've spoken about, and I might do Miss Aida's book, I've forgotten the title now, something about protection and house cleansing. I might do a review of that book as well, but I get all of these books on Scribd, so I think it's a great price for Scribd and for a subscription anyway. So you can find these books. Jason Miller's book, one I did last week, Fatu UD, is also on Scribd, and Miss Aida's book, which is specifically Hoodoo, is also on Scribd. So you can get all of them there. Okay, so that's it for today, and we'll carry on with shielding and protection for the rest of the month. I think it's a very important topic at the moment, so we will continue. Alright, so have a great one. Cheers for now.